Welcome into the Question Number 9 podcast. My name is Seth Warner. Today I'm here to talk to you about Kentucky basketball from a fan's perspective. On this episode, we're going to talk about it's almost game time. Kentucky's going to be playing Kentucky Wesleyan tonight. That's a Wednesday, and this will be an interesting matchup. Kentucky, this is their first preseason game and their first real test to see them play against a team that is not their own. And Kentucky Wesleyan's actually a D2 team out of Kentucky. So it'll be interesting to see how Kentucky approaches this game as a very experienced team and just has some kind of challenge and something different to guard and something different to approach into this game. And Kentucky just starting to get some momentum going into the season, I think is really good. And Kentucky, a very talented team, very experienced team, to see how they prepare themselves for a team they're expected to beat pretty heavily. And Kentucky going into the season and getting really into the season when Kentucky's first game is November 4th and having a few prep games to get ready for that and to get ready for Duke in a few weeks in the Champions Classic. It'll be interesting to see how they prepare, if this game gets a little out of hand, if they kind of start a little slow. It'll be interesting to see if Kentucky Wesleyan tries to throw different things at them just because this team hasn't played together a lot and start to get that rhythm down. It'll be interesting to see. And some more big news right now is Caleb Wilson and Caden Lewis are two big targets for Kentucky coming in to this recruiting cycle, the early signing period. And there have been lots of crystal balls for Caden Lewis to Kentucky, so he's a pretty Kentucky favored right now. And there's been lots of talk of Caleb Wilson also, those two guys kind of being a package deal just because they're such good friends. And it'll be interesting to see when Caden Lewis commits. It was supposed to be early November. If he ends up committing to Kentucky, that's heavily likely. And a lot of people, some doubts. Just if you don't know Caden Lewis's game, he's a scorer. He's a really good scorer, long 6'3" guard who can play on and off the ball, kind of a combo guard, but is really good passing and facilitating and is a good athlete who could potentially have some defensive upside on. And with him, it will be interesting to see how long it takes for his commitment to go, because last time we heard was early November, like I said, and he's taken all of his visits already, and it's kind of getting down to that period now. And another guy, like I was saying, Caleb Wilson, that commitment is getting a little bit more murky when he's going to commit, just because out of all of his visits, they've heard really well. Like North Carolina, they felt really confident about maybe even getting commitment then. But every team has kind of felt a little bit even in the capacity of everybody felt good coming out of it. They're not sure if the Wilsons are just hyping everybody up or where everyone stands. It's just a little confusion at the moment is what the reporting is saying. And some of the other doubts for Caden Lewis, Kentucky fit with Jasper Johnson. Actually, they played together at the Damian Lillard camp, and they were both on the same team, so they have a little history playing together, and I think that's part of the reason Caden Lewis is such a Kentucky favored, just because he's played with some of these guys. He has some background with Malachi Moreno, and his fit will be interesting. And getting back to Kentucky this season, like I was saying, it's going to be interesting to see how they perform in kind of a team that's not to their caliber, but how can they set their own standard? Kind of like Nick Saban used to say for football, can we play to our standard, not play how the other team wants to play? And Kentucky really, this is a lot of these guys' first taste of playing in Rupp, other than Travis Perry and Trent Noah playing in the state tournament. Other than that, everybody else has not really had a taste of, none of them, of a true Kentucky crowd. So that will be interesting to give them a taste before the actual season starts and to really start seeing what this team could be in an actual true game setting, and to see how rotations work. For us who saw the highlights of the blue-white game, it was interesting to see they had to divide the teams up, so there was really no rotation. And because they play so fast, guys get tired. So it'll be interesting to see the legs and if you can rotate guys more. So you have more depth and having more high-level play consistently instead of being spotty when you only are playing 6 guys. And that will be interesting just to continue the intensity overall. And if Kentucky can just keep on pushing and getting better and better every day, that's kind of something that Coach Pope did an interview, and I thought was interesting. He was talking about all of them are getting better every day, and they don't have just 9 guys who can play. They have all 12 scholarship guys. Because think, the 3 guys that were supposed to be at the bottom, Colin Chandler, Trent Noah, and Travis Perry, have all shown really good things. Trent Noah and Travis Perry both shot the lights out in the 3-point contest and were showing a little bit creation ability. I think Travis Perry kind of, in some of the highlights I saw from the blue-white game, kind of got put in a bad spot with some other guys for Kentucky being out and making him kind of the lead guard. He's not ready for that, and some of that SEC length and SEC strength and size kind of messed with him, I think. And Trent Noah, kind of the same thing a little bit, but he's still more of a developmental piece. And I think especially Trent Noah, with his size and physicality, will be a really good player. His probably sophomore or junior year. I'm not sure about Travis Perry. I think he'll be at least a really good scoring guard off the bench early in his career, but his defense, just because of his size at 6 foot, is going to be a really interesting piece. And Kentucky defensively will be another piece to see, just because they struggled with that in the scrimmage, and this team, for not being together very long, we'll see how communication is, and if we can build on every game, because this team hasn't played together very long or at all, and seeing how the chemistry is built. And this team's very talented and has a lot of deep pieces, but how this rotation and how the chemistry kind of comes together. And with our size inside, who and how much our bigs are going to play. Because we realistically have 3 bigs who can all play the center position, with Brandon Garrison, Andrew Carr, and Amari Williams. Andrew Carr can play the 4 more than the other guys, but it'll be interesting to see how some of that spacing stuff works. Ainsley Almanor as kind of that backup 4, to see how that kind of comes together. And with Kirk Krisa out for the blue-white scrimmage, to see our really first taste of him playing in a full game. I think that will be interesting. And I'll just see how they compete with Kentucky just having a new slate this year with a very hard non-conference schedule and a really tough SEC. It'll be interesting to see how they respond to adversity, because we know it's going to come when you have a lot of really good teams in the SEC. And that's all from the Quest for Number 9 podcast. My name is Seth Warner. You can find us at Quest for Number 9 on Instagram and Twitter. And please like and subscribe this video, and I will see you next time.